Donkeys play a vital role in our society, in farms and transporting of goods in rural Kenya. But the beasts of burden are dwindling in their numbers. Data shows that 15% of Kenya's donkeys' population are slaughtered daily for their meat and hides. This has significantly had drastic impact on their reproduction. On this KTN Special Edition, we train our focus on measures Kenya can take to preserve the donkey population through breeding as a solution to dwindling donkey population numbers and supply to the skin trade market. I am your host, Abi Agina. To be part of this forum, you can engage with us on our social media handles at KTN News KE. You can tweet me at Agina Abi. And we also are available on Slido, where we'll be sampling your questions as well. We have a rich cocktail of guests to help us unpack this discussion here on the program. Well, let's kick off by introducing our panelists for this discussion. First off, we have Dr. Raphael Kinoti Magambo. He is an experienced veterinary surgeon and a community development worker. He is currently the Executive Director, Farming Systems Kenya, an indigenous NGO working with farmers with a vision of a vibrant, profitable and sustainable farming community in Kenya. Raphael is also the chairman for the Alliance of Donkey Welfare Organizations in Kenya, which has a membership of 6 NGOs working all over Kenya. The Alliance is passionate in ensuring donkey welfare at the community level. Second off on our panel, we have Madam Florence Ndeti. She is the Director for Caritas Kitui, which is the development department of the Catholic Diocese of Kitui. Mrs. Florence leads the Caritas staff managing the social development projects in Kitui and Makueni counties. Caritas has cut a niche in working with communities to build resilience for sustainable livelihoods. Mrs. Ndeti is a member of Kitui Municipal Board, among other boards. Well, next off, we have a familiar face in the agricultural space, and that is Honorable Dr. Lina J.B. Kilimo. She is the Chief Administrative Secretary for the State Department for Livestock, Fisheries, Aquaculture and Blue Economy at the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives. Dr. Lina has previously served as an Assistant Minister for Cooperatives Development and Marketing, as Minister of State, Office of the Vice President, and as Minister of Immigration and Registration of Persons, while serving as a Member of Parliament for Marakwet East constituency from 2002 to 2012. Dr. JB holds many other leadership roles, and we are glad to have her on our panel. Well, moving on to our last panelist, we are also very pleased to have a donkey owner as part of the panel. Margaret Mpatiani is a farmer in Narok, Ngareta, where she grows maize, beans and wheat. Margaret has 7 donkeys and will be sharing her hands-on experiences with us here on the program. Well, to just kickstart this discussion, we'd like to take you and give you a sense of what has been happening when it comes to the donkey business. Well, demand for donkey products has been on the rise as the Republic of China opened doors for markets for goods from Kenya. Well, farmers to venture into the trade. In return, cases of smuggling and theft of donkeys have reported and have been growing over time. Well, majority of Kenyan farmers have been calling for regulation as well as closure of major donkey slaughterhouses in the county. KTN's Joan Letting reports.
Donkey owners in Naivasha and Nakuru areas have been decrying the continued licensing of slaughterhouses by the government. Farmers in the area note that donkey theft was on the rise as meat dealers struggle to service the ever-rising demand for export donkey meat.
Nilikuwa na punda 30, zimeibiwa sote 25, mimi nimebaki na 5.
Vichinjio zimeleta demand kubwa za punda. Imekuwa sasa ni biashara, na imekuwa ni biashara ambao mpaka waragai wameingilia sababu imekuwa so attractive kwa hawa.
Donkey breeders are now urging the county government to come up with a bill to ban the slaughter of donkeys across the country.
Huu uchijaji ukiendelea vile unaendelea, kama kwamba kuna watu wanajifichia wengine, serikali wanabiashara na serikali wanajifichania, by 2022 hatutakuwa na punda nchini Kenya.
According to a report dubbed the status of donkey slaughter in Kenya and its implications on community livelihoods, done by Calro and others, a total of 301,977 donkeys were slaughtered in 4 export slaughterhouses between April 2016 and December 2018. The report further states that projection of donkey slaughter and population revealed that by 2023, all donkeys will have been slaughtered. Rift Valley is home to 3 donkey slaughterhouses: Gold Ox in Baringo, Star Brilliant in Naivasha, and Silza in Turkana. Eastern hosts Fuhai Slaughterhouse in Machakos. Silza was allegedly reported to use electrical procedures before slaughter, while Gold Ox, Fuhai, and Star Brilliant used stunning guns and bullets.
Well, that, of course, sets the ball rolling for us. And before we get to engage our guests, we want to walk you through some interesting numbers on our Super Bowl. Well, 301,977 donkeys were slaughtered between April 2016 and December 2018. This accounts for 15% of the donkey population in the country. Let's take you to some more startling statistics. Well, 27% of all the donkeys that have been slaughtered were pregnant, and this in essence disrupts the reproduction rate and of course has a big impact on how the numbers continue to build up. Let's move on to the next slide, where I will also walk you through a very sharp statistic again. 5.1% of all the donkeys slaughtered annually. This is 5 times higher than the annual donkey population growth rate. Some very interesting numbers for you to just pause and, of course, reflect on. Well, finally, Kenya has about 1.2 million donkeys compared with 1.8 million donkeys that we had almost 10 years ago. So it clearly points to the underlying issues that have been bedeviling this sector. Well, let's take a look at our last slide. At least 1,000 donkeys are slaughtered each day in Kenya. This is according to Brook East Africa. This also goes to point to the fact that there is a really hard case to put out there. And finally, there's a huge demand for donkey skin in China. 1.8 million skins are traded every year, but the demand is as high as 10 million. Well, those are the numbers, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let's get off with this discussion right now. And let me bring in my colleague, actually my panelists, I beg your pardon. Let me start it off with Dr. Lina JB. Thank you for making time for us here on the program. I'd like to get your opening remarks when you look at those numbers. What does this make you feel as someone who has been, of course, advocating for growth of the agricultural sector? You've also been on record just trying to ensure that there's shared prosperity in the counties.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers, and thank you for this invitation. Now, when you read those numbers, to me, I feel a great loss, especially as far as women are concerned. I look at donkeys and I see them as the extra back of a woman that carries burdens.
Thank you. Very short and precise. Let me bring in the other guest. Of course, we have a donkey farmer with us, just to also get your thoughts on this. Can you hear me? All right. Let me bring it on to Mrs. Ndeti from Caritas. Just looking at these numbers, what we've had from the CAS is, of course, very sobering. What would you have to say in regards to your opening remarks?
Take with the reducing numbers, it's a phase of a party being driven intentionally, and that will affect majority of the rural communities who rely on the donkey on a number of issues. All
right, thank you for that. Do we have Kinoti with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Abby.
All right, thank you,
And,
Mr. Kinoti.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this interview. And I just want to say hi to viewers. The numbers are actually, I mean, is a threatening situation of things. I want to echo the words of Madam CAS. There actually, yes, is an extra buck that is being removed from the community. And actually, there's an African proverb that goes like that you remove a donkey from a woman, then the woman becomes a donkey herself. But then on the other hand, the children, donkeys do the work that women and children do, from getting water to firewood, all those household chores that you'd think about, carrying a burden to the market and back. So really, we are saying we're removing the burden from the back of the donkey for the market, the Chinese market or whichever other market, and throwing that burden to the child or the mother. That's the situation.
All right. I understand that our other panelist is also going to be joining us shortly. We are experiencing some challenges from his end, but we'll be getting him shortly on the program. Well, let me take it back to the CAS, Dr. JB. Well, as much as the numbers have been reducing, have we as a country sat back and said, what are the measures that we shall be implementing towards increasing the population of donkeys?
Thank you very much. First of all, the intervention from government was taken by our Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Pt.1, somewhere in February, and it took effect on end of March, when he banned actually the slaughter of donkey meat and closed all the slaughterhouses for the donkeys. First of all, there was a lot of complaint, of course, from the people of what is happening. And earlier, you had even described the inhumane way that the donkeys were being slaughtered. So both from the donkey owners for the loss and also from those on animal welfare, the way it was being slaughtered. And of course, the declining number of donkeys in the country. So first of all, that is what the government, the steps it has taken. The next step now is to see how can we increase the number of donkeys in the country. It's good we have Dr. Kinoti here. I think these are the animal scientists in our midst, and even those, the officers in our ministry who deal with animal breeding of animals. They actually say it's quite difficult for donkeys to reproduce. We know that we have managed to have AI for cows, and we are working at, hopefully by January, we shall be having AI for goats. But it's rather a challenge for AI for donkeys, breeding donkeys. Yet, donkeys cannot even breed because they are always working. So there is still a lot of research that is going to be invested in seeing which are the best ways to increase the number of donkeys. But paramount to that will also be the welfare, the way we treat the donkeys. I wish people would be treating donkeys the way they are treating their puppies. You see the way they care for the dogs and the horses?
Yes.
The same treatment should be given to the donkeys, so that maybe it will also give them an opportunity to breed. All this will require collaboration with you, therefore, the state, to tell Wananchi how to treat their donkeys. We cannot, it's all written in paper, but we will have to go out and let people know how they should treat donkeys. It will improve their breeding, because they cannot be breeding, they're exhausted, they have no time to eat. All the energy they have for carrying burdens, they have no time. In fact, they don't have a social life, the donkeys. So we have to find ways of ensuring that they also have social life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. JB. And Dr. Kinoti, when you hear such sentiments around the interventions when it comes to looking at AI, artificial insemination, and of course the different the research work that is currently underway, what do we need to do in the short term, even as we look at the big picture?
Thank you, Abi. And thanks so much, Dr. Kilimo. I think the way she has articulated things is exactly the way things are actually. Look at this, Abi.
Yes.
Donkeys in Kenya, people don't keep them, for slaughter. People keep donkeys for what? You come to my herd of livestock, I'll count for you, there are 5 donkeys, and I'll tell you what each of them does every single day. And that is where, I'm just trying to begin where Dr. Kilimo left. That's where the problem begins.
Yes.
Because an animal that has a load on its back every single day, 365 days in a year, say those donkeys in Turkana that have to go to the water point every single day, that animal will rarely breed. And as Madam said, they don't have social time. But then also their bodies actually, when they're overburdened, their bodies actually don't go into heat. That's one aspect of it. But then there is a bigger aspect of it also, that the donkey is one animal that we classify as a hard breeder. If you go now to the science of it, to the anatomy of it, we describe donkey as a hard breeder. And I'll give you small little statistics, and we can keep unpacking this even as we continue in this discussion.
Please carry on.
If you put cows together on free range, they are free there, cows and bulls, 80 to 90% of the cows will come on it, and they will be pregnant. If you put horses together, the female horse, the mares, and the male horses, the stallions, you put them together in free range, you give them food, all that, 60 to 65% of the females will come on it, they'll be pregnant. If you put the donkeys together on free range, give them food, everything, is only a number of between 40 to 45% that will come on heat, and they will also conceive and be pregnant. So naturally, the animal is a hard breeder. But then secondly, there isn't any technology to date on how you can store semen for the donkeys. The way we do artificial insemination for cows, you go and harvest semen from bulls and store it under liquid nitrogen. You actually freeze it under liquid nitrogen, and you can transport it anywhere in the world. And that's why we get actually American bulls here in Kenya. We get semen from America, from any part of the world. Try and freeze donkey semen, and it's seen that actually the viability will go between 0 and 10%. So then actually you freeze it, all the spermatozoa die. And that has been the major problem in terms of AI for donkeys. Though also there are some other anatomical issues in terms of doing the actual AI itself for the donkey can be quite a challenge. But then the world as we know it today doesn't have a technology of actually storing semen for donkeys. And these are some of the challenges that we have on top of being a hard breeder in nature, but then it's proven actually that you can do AI for it. I mean, as the world is today, probably technology will come tomorrow, technology will come next year or years to come. But as we know it now, it isn't there. And this is the problem we are grappling with today.
Interesting, very interesting insights there, Dr. Kinoti. And let me bring in my other guest. When we look at all these issues that are coming before us around the donkeys are always being overworked. Of course, they're playing a very critical role when it comes to supporting the social lifestyles of people in different communities. What do you also think needs to change for us to be able to boost the numbers?
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you for that question. I would pick where Dr. Kinoti has left in the discussion that what we need to do to improve the numbers. Our work as advocates, we began around 2012, 2013, 2014, and we work with farmers to train them on how to handle the donkeys in terms of how they load the work, how they feed them, how they space the work, how they bring them into an environment where they can breed naturally. And this process has seen us communities improve on the way they handle the donkeys and also change of attitude. Given the dwindling numbers now, it is a challenge to all of us because given the statistics that Kinoti has given and the hard breeding process for the donkeys, we need to think deeper. But with the donkey slaughter and given the uptake of the slaughterhouses, it is almost impossible to increase the numbers to a level where we can increase, we can have enough population to sustain the slaughter business. We have been speaking to communities and asking them, you've been having like 5 donkeys for the last 15 years. Can you count how much more have just been added in terms of young ones? And some are saying the highest I've gone is about 6, about 8 at most within a period of 15 years. So given the conditions that we had previously before the ban, that is why Carol did the research and informed us with the uptake, we may not sustain the population, and we did by 2023, we should not have more donkeys. Looking at the numbers again, we've been working with donkey owners, donkey users, communities working in groups, and also looking at the legal framework to be able to put some environment where the donkey can be protected. A case in Kitui, we've been working with the communities, all the stakeholders, and the county government has been with us to generate a specific policy on donkey welfare, focusing on Kitui since agriculture is devolved, so that we can have a legal framework that protects the donkey. We believe with that, even other counties across the country need to pick from us and also have those policies in place. Because if we leave the donkey without protection and the kind of business continues, we may have no donkeys. And like my colleagues have said, the burden falls back to women and children for all the reasons, for all the purposes that communities use the donkey. So it is important that we look back. Initially, during the beginning of the slaughter process, communities were being approached and promised that they can have motorbikes replace the donkeys. We looked at the cost effectiveness of that process. A donkey, for whatever reason, cannot be replaced by a motorbike. One motorbike will require fuel, will require a human resource behind it to process it, maintenance, and the easy way the women and children manage the donkey. It is not the same easy way that they can manage a motorbike. A motorbike at most can run for 1 year, given the kind of work that and the terrain that we have. But our donkeys have been with us since time immemorial. So those theories that are coming, even the breeding efforts that we are hearing in this country, that donkeys can be bred once they are put in a place, they are treated well, they are given space to breed. It is not impossible. And Dr. Kinoti will give us the science behind putting those donkeys into some kind of restriction so that they can breed. So I must say that for the numbers, we better leave the donkeys to breed as we've been breeding and let the Chinese communities look for alternatives to be able to get njao, because that is what they extract from the donkey skin, from other sources and not the donkeys. Otherwise, if we give the space, or if we allow the slaughter to continue, it will not be possible to sustain the population and support the rural communities as they are doing now. We thank the CS for the ban and request the government to just hold that and not allow donkey slaughter to continue in this country. And we've also had cases where we are now smuggling donkeys from one country to the other. So we need to do it at regional level and, if possible, globally, so that we can safeguard the donkey. Thank you, Gila.
Thank you, Mrs. Ndeti, for those very insightful points. And when we come back after this commercial break, I want to talk about the very pertinent issue you've raised around theft of donkeys. How rampant is it? And are there measures that the government needs to put in place to ensure we are able to protect and safeguard these very important animals? Well, we'll be coming back after this quick break.